Hello, everybody. Just give me a minute. I'm just going to start recording also. Looks like the live stream is live. So let's see. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Sudha Jamthe, and this is Sudha Live. Friday, 6 p.m. here in Silicon Valley, and morning for many of you joining from Asia. I appreciate that. Don't know why I went off camera. I'm going to bring that back on. Okay. So here we are for our Friday evening happy hour where I talk to you about opportunities in the AI world. And I do jobs, fellowships, and many more things, but events and courses and whatnot. But I usually have a topic that I focus on in the AI world, whatever is happening, and go deeper. And my goal is that you would draw inspiration from it. So if you're on a career pivot to the AI world, then all the jobs and opportunities are great. You can go apply for the ones that make sense for you. If you are in an aspirational path to go apply AI to do something with it, I hope our discussion now gives you inspiration to think about how do you connect the dots from the experience you have or what you're facing in your local industry or your local community or what you're learning with AI or what you want to learn with AI. Even if you have some kind of inhibition saying, hey, I'm not in the coding world or I'm not already in AI, doesn't matter. My aspiration is a limitless world. And so I have a newsletter called Limitlessness. So I hope we can have a fun conversation with that. So here we go. I'm a technology futurist. For those of you who are new to this, I'm a technology futurist. I teach AI at Stanford Continuing Studies for product managers and business managers. And I have my students everywhere because I also teach AI ethics for 4 different master's programs at Barcelona Technology School. I do a bunch of other courses at Business School of AI. And recently I have a learning no-code AI course on LinkedIn Learning. So I'm a teacher at heart, but I have this need to share and make sure that you already know the answer and you're not starting afresh, especially as adult learners who are on a continuous journey. Okay. So what do I have for you today? Let me show you something we did on this Wednesday. So one of the things I do is I started this out about 5 years back, and then it has kind of evolved to a global speaker series run by my student alumni on Wednesdays called Weekly Web. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you what we did at Weekly Web because this was about robot ethics, a very amazing person and an amazing topic that we covered. And so I'm going to show that. And I'm going to answer some of your questions because we have this call for paper open at Global South in AI, which is about language AI. So some of you are working on it or have ideas on it, or some of you ping me saying you are looking for a partner maybe to collaborate and want to get your questions answered. So I have the recording of the webinar that Susanna Raj did on this topic ready for you. And then I can also answer questions. So this is being streamed live on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And typically I'm going to be able to keep track of one channel. So I'm going to look at LinkedIn. And if you post any question, I will answer live. And I'll come back and answer them if you watch this later, because the recording sits in LinkedIn typically. And then for those of you who are new, I share this recording along with all the links that I'm going to be sharing today and my analysis and reading material and whatnot on my weekly newsletter called the Jamthe newsletter, which is at bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. So let me go there because I have something interesting I want to start today with. Okay. Yes, thank you for the reminder. I will not share the screen. This is where bit.ly, so bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter resolves to this. If you want, you can bookmark this and come and watch each week's recording and read the newsletter. And last week I did something different. I had a sore throat and couldn't speak. So I used text to speech AI to actually read out what I was going to talk to you. So I called this as AI Sudha. So I wanted to see whether, some of you have watched that and you have opinions on that, or but what kind of accent did you like? Because I shared a bunch of different ones. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I like to start always with some inspiration, congratulating people who inspired me through the week. And the list is huge. So I try to collate it to at least get you some of them. And then I share a lot more in the newsletter. So let me go to who I have here. Give me a minute. Caps lock is on. That's why it's not letting me go. We spoke about how remembering passwords and doing that is not the most effective way, especially from a cybersecurity perspective. We had a weekly Wednesday session with Pamela Gupta, who's a cybersecurity expert, interviewed by Mirko Ross, whose passion is to create an identity that is using blockchain and a trusted network and not tied to any of the tech company platforms. So Pamela Gupta was interviewed by Mirko Ross, and they did this topic on passwordless cybersecurity and identity. So we have not shared that recording with you. So bear with us that I will be sharing that in the next couple of weeks. Okay. Typically, all our weekly Wednesday sessions are live streamed, and then they go sit at Business School of AI. So if you just sign up for weekly Wed at Business School of AI, you should get all the recordings. Okay, but I will show you a little snippet here so that if you miss out on it, or if the recording is not quite ready, sometimes we'll have to edit some things. And if there are corporate people involved, we would like to make sure that we get permissions and we are very big on GDPR compliance and write permissions on everything. So it does take time sometimes. So bear with me, you've not seen that. So as I'm trying to log into, my MailChimp to show you this, I just realized that's the same thing that I'm still going through the password login, trying to remember everything. Okay, so here I'm going to share my screen. So my first congratulations goes to Lauren Easterling from Indiana. She completed her PhD, which is a huge deal. So congratulations, Lauren. And she's such a joy. I follow her on Twitter, and I would recommend the kind of things she shared. And, it's very informative. The other person I want to congratulate is Isha Bhatt, and she works at YouTube as a product leader. I have worked with Isha when she was a product manager, senior product manager at eBay in my past. And she's come now amazing way, and she's always been a product leader and an inspiration. So here's an opportunity for me to congratulate Isha. She works at YouTube and ran this successful Women at YouTube Summit. And you should read her work diaries on your own. And let me see if I can get you the work diaries link. And it is a week in her life type of setup that they have, that she's written as a blog on YouTube. So she talks about co-hosting the Women at YouTube Summit as a director of product management at YouTube Commerce. But also, her passion for her work and what she's doing overall is just amazing, unbelievable. I just love it. I got a different view of Isha's life, her professional life, a little bit of her personal life, how she balances it. It was beautiful. And this is the YouTube Women at YouTube Summit, and that was inspiring for me to share also. I didn't get to watch it. I believe it's for YouTubers. I think it's intern company stuff. And they interviewed Malala. And so that's such a treat. So congratulations, Isha, for pulling this together, and and an amazing career in your product management life. I have another person that I wanted to congratulate, which is Susanna Raj, AI ethicist, who works very closely with me at Global South in AI and teaches AI ethics at Business School of AI. And Susanna Raj, I'm going to share her post because you can see her tone of voice and everything else in it. But the summary of what I wanted to share is Northeastern University from Boston has an AI ethics advisory board for the Institute of Experiential AI. It's amazing. I find that very inspiring when you have colleges who are actually working on AI ethics and including AI ethics and including advisory from outside and building out AI ethics into their curriculum and what they're doing. So you can read about that. And my friend Ricardo Bates is also in here. And this is an expert-based independent on demand. This is the Institute for Experiential AI Ethics and Advisory Board. And here is Ricardo Bates. Susanna, it's congratulating Susanna. I'm trying to find her in here. These are amazing, amazing people and such diverse thinkers that they brought together. And here is Susanna, who brings her cognitive science research to this board. So we'll look out for amazing work from the Northeastern University, and we'll see what they're doing in the AI ethics world. Maybe that will set the path for many other universities, because I'm involved in creating AI ethics curriculum in a couple places, and it's a lot of hard work, and this diverse perspective is what you really need to make that happen. So congratulations, Ricardo, and congratulations to Susanna. I was talking to you about Weekly Wednesday, and this time Weekly Wednesday, we had Katrina Ingram talk to us about robot ethics. And I was asking, I'd written a blog post about that on LinkedIn, and I was asking, do we need a separate ethics for robots? Because we have that for IoT devices. I'm involved in IoT devices, and I was involved in the P007, which is this IEEE standards for fail-safe AI and autonomous systems. And it could be autonomous vehicles, it could be robots. There were, we had such a diverse group of people, and everybody but different perspective. And I was thinking about autonomous vehicles because that's my area of research. There were other people who were talking about robots. So when Katrina Ingram came and said, I'm going to talk to you about robot ethics, she shared the story that a 7-year-old child was playing chess with a robot, which did, a robotic arm. And the designers of this AI system, the AIX design, had not anticipated for the child to start moving proactively. And so the robot was moving the pieces out from the chessboard when the boy went to move his piece, and the robot just held on to his finger, thought it was another chess piece, and would stop for a few seconds and broke his finger. It was horrible news. But that woke us up to the same news of, okay, now is there a need to regulate robots, and how is this done? Is this to be treated like a piece of electronics? Because if robots are building in automation and doing things in a factory setting, they're operating independently. And I've written about this in my IoT Distractions book, that a lot of robotic arms and robots coexist with humans. And it's easy to visualize when the robot is interacting with us in a customer service setting, or elder care, or like a physical robot that is moving around. But this in this case, it was a robotic arm. So Katrina talked to us, and she has a course on that. So I have a very interesting video from her. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be showing you a snippet of that, because there's a very beautiful video she shared, which was amazing. So I'm going to show you a little bit about her course and introduction, And then let me get to her intro 1 second. Okay, let me share the screen again. Thank you for the reminder. Here we go.
And he told me not enough people. And that really launched my journey into the world of artificial intelligence and ethics.
So Katrina decided to learn AI ethics because she learned AI and asked this question of her professor as a mid-career professional moving from media and radio industry. And she was told that not enough people are working on AI ethics. So if you follow
So I am not a technical person by trade. I'm not a data scientist. I'm not a computer scientist.
You will hear this from a lot of data scientists, a lot of AI ethicists who say this thing, I'm not building the code for it, but she is changing the world.
I very much have a communications and business background, but in the course of doing my work, I've learned an awful lot about this topic, and in particular, thinking about some of the ways that we can bring ethics into the AI equation. So that's really how it got started for me. So I graduated in 2020, and in 2021, last year, I launched a company called Ethically Aligned AI. And what I do is I help organizations in order to think about ethics in terms of the technologies that they are building. So that's the work that I'm doing now. And as part of that journey last year, as I was kind of figuring out what is my company going to do exactly, I got a call from Athabasca University, which is a university based in Alberta that delivers a lot of online learning. In particular, micro-credentials are their thing. So they do a lot of these micro-credentials. And they said, would you like to partner to build an AI ethics micro-credential? I think there's a market for this. And I said, absolutely, I would be happy to do that. And that's really what launched my journey into the work that I've done in the past year, which is creating Canada's first AI ethics micro-credential. And RoboEthics is part of that. So let me tell you a bit about who this credential is for. It's for adult learners. It's for people who are working professionals.
Okay, so you see that on the screen. So I'm going to stop there and show you Katrina's actual link where it talks about the course. She actually links to the course where she put it on her YouTube. So I think not on her YouTube, on her LinkedIn, that would be better because then you can follow her directly here, the story. So you can follow Katrina here, and here is the story that I was telling you about the chess robot. And in here, she says, we are just about to launch RoboEthics. That course is officially launched and it's live now. This is what she shared a couple of weeks back. And it is a micro-credential with Power Ed by Athabasca University she was talking about. And this course explores the relationship to embodied AI. So she talks about, when you're building AI, when you're interacting and designing AI and designing the interaction, and you're thinking about the behavior of AI as 3 different modules where you need to think about the AI ethics. So let me see whether I can get you to the course page since it is live here. It's from PowerEd and Athabasca University. And artificial intelligence ethics micro-credentials, they have multiple courses, and I'm interested in this AI ethics RoboEthics course. And you can see the view course details and all the cool stuff from here. Okay. So if you want to see the URL, and as I said, this is PowerEd Athabasca University in Canada. And if you are following me here on my live stream, and I will be sharing all these links at the Jamthe newsletter, bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. So you will get the links directly there also. And let me make sure that I post it on LinkedIn also for you. And before I wrap up this topic with Katrina, I want to share an amazing video she shared. It's closer to the end, I believe, at, let me see, at minute 50, I believe. It's a beautiful video that's more on her site. It's not related to her course, but it embodies why AI ethics matters and why all of us have a part to play with that. let me just get you back to the YouTube to share that with you. Here we go.
But this is something that I'm excited about. I do a lot of projects just to kind of like inform people about this work who maybe have never heard about it at all. And so this is just a 2-minute video that my company has developed. I'm just going to play this really quickly and I'll end there. I'll be happy.
This is the world that AI built. This is the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the model that powers the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the data that trained the model that powers the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powers the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the bank who funded the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powers the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the employee that worked for the bank that funded the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powered the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the smartphone of the employee that worked for the bank that funded the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powered the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is a child who mined the rare minerals that were used in the smartphone of the employee that works for the bank that funded the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powered the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is a charity that rescued the child who mined the minerals that were used in the smartphone of the employee that works for the bank that funded the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powered the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the billionaire who supports the charity that rescued the child who mined the minerals that were used in the smartphone of the employee that works for the bank that funded the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powered the robot that runs the world that AI built. This is the AI that belongs to the billionaire who supports the charity that rescued the child who mined the minerals that were used in the smartphone of the employee that works for the bank that funded the corporation that gathered the data that trained the model that powered the robot that runs the world that we all built. Humans build AI. We build robots and models. We gather the data. We create the financial structures that fund how technologies are built. We can change things by making different choices.
So it's so beautifully done. I mean, I say that in all my classes, how, AI is designed even in a technology company by a group of people of various different skills. And then in an ecosystem, when we think about the business aspect of it, there's an ecosystem that plays in. And this is the best video I've seen that describes the whole ecosystem and the role you and me and everyone has to play in that. It's beautiful. So hope you'll follow Katrina and go check out her Robo Ethics course. And in all of these, as we're sharing, I would like to get feedback from people who go apply to things, talk about, check out the fellowships and the jobs and whatnot, or events, give me feedback. I want to see what works and, close the loop on that. Okay. So I believe Pariya is here. Pariya, are you here? Can you chat if you're here? I want to see whether we can, I want to show something, but I was thinking Pariya can show that for you. Let me check if she's here. Okay. Do you want to speak?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can, but for some reason it is showing my picture. So I hope, okay.
I don't know why it's locked me in as well.
I know. For a minute when I got started, I saw myself live, and then when you came online, it showed my image.
I think it's because I had to zoom around.
Okay, so I'm glad you're here. Here is Pariya Saran, and many of you had questions about Global South and AI. So the good news is Susanna Raj did a webinar answering your questions. So we have that video ready. And we also have a Slack group because many of you said, hey, I have questions, I wanted to follow up. And we also want to find other people to collaborate with on our ideas. So Pariya is my fellow program chair on Global South in AI. And we have a call for abstracts open to bring diversity to language AI. So let me make sure that Pariya has access to share her screen, because Pariya, are you going to share the site? Are you going to share just the Zoom, the Slack link?
I can share the Slack link. I can also share the Slack itself.
Okay.
Open it.
Okay, I think you should have access to share right now. So I'm going to remove myself from the screen. So you're here, and introduce yourself and then tell us what you're showing, and then you can share the screen and show us.
Okay, hello, my name is Pariya and I'm a high school student from the Bay Area. And I'm helping Sudha with this Global South in AI meetup at NeurIPS this year. And I'm just going to show for those, I'm going to share my screen now. 1 second.
Yes. Thank you, Pariya. You're senior year in high school, right? So you had school and you came after that. So thank you for doing this.
Okay, so you can see my screen. I
Yes.
just have this flyer just showing the link that you have to go to in order to access the Slack for Global South in AI for anyone who's submitting an abstract who has questions or wants to discuss further with other people who are also submitting an abstract or with the program chairs. You can visit the link globalsouthinai.slack.com.
Yeah. So the call is at globalsouthinai.org, and the deadline is August 17th, right? So before that, August 17th, US time, Pacific time, here, you can submit a 250-word abstract. It can be about language, it can be a language model, it can be about voice, it can be about data, whether you're collecting data to build a language-centric application that is supporting some kind of application for global South languages. And Global South, we are using that word because that is used by UN, but our aspiration is to go beyond the 6 or 7 languages that is English centered by which AI is built today. So if you're coming from Eastern Europe and you say that I have some language model that is not in the mainstream AI, we are inclusive of everybody. We just want to add diversity to language models and language AI to make it more mainstream. And the opportunity here is you get to come to NeurIPS, which is a top AI conference happening in New Orleans. And so 5 posters will get selected to present live at NeurIPS, and every other poster that gets accepted will be able to join virtually to present in a virtual poster session. So we kind of expanded that. NeurIPS has been very, very inclusive and supportive. Okay, so what are you showing here? Are you showing us the site?
I'm just showing the other flyer, but I can show the site now. So I'll reshare my screen.
Yeah. So you can show us Global South in AI. And I believe we expanded the registration deadline for open review from 11th to the 16th. So people can, so we can show this site. So you go to Global South in AI and you say, I want to make a submission. It will take you to open review, which is an industry standard submission site. Even as program chairs, I won't get to see who you are, what submissions you make. We are organizers. We are making, and our reviewers who are experts in the AI NLP world and passionate about adding diversity to language models will be reviewing and accepting your submission. Here we are. globalsouthinai.org leads you here. And then they can click on the call for paper and they can make a submission. And they have to submit 250 words abstract. Tell us about this video.
So we also have the webinar that we did on August 3rd, where it was a Q&A to answer questions about the call for abstracts. And you can watch the webinar here on the website, Global South AI.
Yeah, that is very good, because a lot of people, yes, some people have messaged me and said, I have not built a full language model. Is that relevant? Or I have like a work in process project because I'm not able to get enough data to build out a language model for a specific language. There are specific challenges. That's exactly what we want. If you're working, if you're passionate in that area, if you're working on voice, adding different support for different accents, or even figuring out the nitty-gritties of collecting data for that, or you have a model application, we would love for you to submit an abstract. So, and you can talk to us if you're doubtful. Look at the webinar. That should give you an idea what is included, what is appropriate. And then you can talk to us on the Slack. So I think we should add the Slack. Susanna was saying we should add the Slack link on the Global South in AI site itself. Let's do that after this. Can you show us the Slack link? Okay, so this is globalsouthinai.slack.com. And then you can have a conversation with us and chat with us. You can chat with other people who are working in the same area, and you can talk to us, program chairs, and see whether, you know, what you're thinking about, is that something relevant or not. And we'll give you feedback. We cannot look at your final submissions or anything, because this is a double-blind peer review acceptance for the call for abstracts. So we don't know who, even the chairs, the area chairs who are reviewing this will not be able to see who is submitting from where, or your name or anything else. They will just see the submission. And the same way, you know, who the chairs are who are reviewing is also secret, and you don't get to see them. So that's why it's double-blind peer reviewed. Once you're accepted, so August 17th is the deadline, and that's 5 days away. I hope if you're thinking, even if you're on the fence, come join on the Slack and ask us a question, or talk to us if we can help you find a, you know, collaborator, co-author. And if you submit on the 17th, by the 31st of August, you should get an acceptance in 2 weeks. And we are doing that because NeurIPS is visa friendly. For those of you who want to, who make it to the 5 posters, who can come in live to US, to New Orleans, they will provide visa support. And that's why we are trying to do that. And then on September 10th, we are going to host our Global South in AI meetup as a poster training session to teach people to build out a poster from your abstract. So you're going to submit a 250 words abstract. What we are going to take to NeurIPS is a poster. And so we're going to teach you how to build the poster in a 3-hour Zoom session. And then you get to bring it, and either you can join hybrid and live, or you can do it in person if you're one of the 5 posters. So that's what we're going for. Awesome. Thank you so much, Pariya. Can you scroll down? I want to show the other program chairs. I believe we have everybody's picture. So I get credit for doing this. I want to make sure that people know that there is a whole team of brilliant minds working hard. And here is Pariya right here. And she is driving all our marketing and our website. And Yashashwini, who is our weekly Wednesday host, will be organizing the September 10th poster development session. She's an AI researcher from Bangalore. You've heard Susanna Raj, AI ethicist, who did the webinar. So you can watch the webinar. And here's me. So that's it. Thank you so much, Pariya. So Global South in AI, and I hope, you know, you will be able to come talk to us and enrich us. We are looking for people who are working on various language models from India, from Japan, from Singapore, from various Asian countries, from Latin America, from Africa. And I'm very, very excited about it, because I've joined some Slack groups. I'm so amazed by the energy of the people who are working on this. So thank you so much, Pariya, for managing all this and finding the time to talk to us. So I appreciate that. Okay, so hopefully, you know, some of you will be joining the others who are already doing the the submissions, and we'll be able to see a lot of good submissions, because this is our first time. This is the first time it's a kickoff of Global South in AI at Neuro IPS, and so we are hoping that this is the beginning, and we can go work together on language models. And before I close out the topic, I want to share one other link. This is Belen Sanchez Hidalgo. She's an amazing data scientist. She's a senior data scientist at Data Robot, and she works on applied AI. And she actually, I did congratulate her a couple of weeks back, because she has built out, an internal group where she collaborated with Women in AI Mexico and brought in more Latinx women who are data scientists into Data Robot, or into the field of data science. And so she has shared on her LinkedIn profile. So she's an amazing person. I'm showing profiles because I think they're amazing people. You should follow them on LinkedIn. So she's an amazing person. And she's shared, and she's calling all Latinx people who are working on AI research to bring more Spanish language and Brazilian Portuguese, maybe one of the many Mayan languages, and to come in and contribute and make a submission. And again, talk to us. And she's giving me credit. That's why I wanted to make sure my whole team gets to share that credit. Okay, so this is this. She's just sharing the site and the Slack group. So hope you'll make a submission or come talk to us, and I'll get to see more submissions coming in. In fact, I started learning Spanish on Duolingo early this year, literally beginning of this year, and I'm amazed at the complexity, because I teach at Barcelona Technology School, and every time I go to Spain, I think I should be learning Spanish. And then for a little while, I thought I'll learn Catalan, and then I realized they're totally different things. So I kind of started that on a parallel track and finished that. And then when I started learning Spanish, I realized there is no one Spanish. There's so many different dialects of Spanish, but there is also total difference in Spanish from Mexico, from Spanish from Colombia or Argentina, and Belen, in fact, has a conference in Ecuador, and they are also, there's so many differences. There are even, there are cultural differences. So language carries the history and culture of people. So the language of Spain, Spanish from Spain is different from what is spoken in Mexico. And if I just try to learn Spanish as a human, it gets complex beyond a point. And I've reached that place after 200 days. And I realized when we are trying to teach AI, when you're going to feed it training data, how is it going to do that? So we have translation to Spanish in a lot of technologies. And there must be Spanish speaking people. And I had heard that the research for Spanish work is typically published mostly out of US, Germany, or China, not enough from any of the Latin American countries. I'm sure there are Latin American people, Spanish speakers involved in any of these teams from these countries, but that doesn't seem right. It is not going to capture all the nuances of the language. And so I hope that this reaches enough people, and you can come in and tell us, what you're working on. And this is just an abstract, and we are calling for work in progress work, because we are looking for where you run into issues, you're not able to get the data, you're not able to proceed. And by going to Neuro IPS, we're going to connect with a larger diaspora of researchers who are open and excited about changing the world. And we will find people who are working in this field, who are thinking about solving the problem, and they've done it differently on a different area. So we hope that. And also, because we're going to have people who are submitting on different languages of Africa. There are people who are submitting on Latin American languages. There are people who are submitting from India, which itself has like 22 official languages. And then there are various other Asian languages. And then there is Eastern European languages, and there is indigenous languages. And so instead of all of us trying to solve for problems like these are low resource languages, so we don't have enough data, or some languages are don't have enough written, they are oral traditional languages like Hausa, which is the 7th most spoken language in the world, but that's not in the 7th most, AI model that is being built by most technology companies, because it's a low resource language, because it does not have it, it has voice but not written literature easily available. And so there's common problems we are hoping to uncover. So my personal motivation is, if you have never published research and you think, I'm not an academician, I'm not a PhD student, I've never published research, seems like a big deal, please talk to me. I want to help you bring you into research. And I love, with all my activities, I like the collaboration across multiple time zones and peoples and diversity. So I'm hoping that, by bringing people who are working on different parts of the world, on different languages, you will find that there's something common that we might be able to solve for across all the low resource languages, so that we can bring that to mainstream. So that's my hope. Hope you'll join me on that journey. And like everything else, I think it's a limitless opportunity. Okay, so let's see what else do I have here. So thank you, Belen, for sharing that. And before I wrap up on that, I was talking to Belen, and she shared a beautiful conference that is coming up. I believe it's the 5th edition now this year, and they're going to do that in Ecuador. It is called RIIAA. It's an AI conference in Latin America. It brings together Latin American, the AI ecosystem. And I've previously worked on and done keynotes in Chile on IoT ecosystem in Latin America. I've been to Brazil and seen, the whole IoT world thriving. And so it's exciting for me to see the Latin American AI ecosystem coming together. And this is their 5th year. And they're doing amazing stuff. I believe they have like a summer school, they have a hackathon, they also have a poster session, like the research poster session that I'm talking about, a lot of interesting things. So I hope you'll check it out. And they're doing this as a hybrid event. So I'm hoping that, we will be able to, participate in that remotely and contribute also. Okay. So, and that is, I believe, early in September. So check out riiaa.org. Again, like all the other links, I'll be sharing this on your LinkedIn, where you're watching this, and at bit.ly Jamthe newsletter. So let me see, there's a chat. I believe that was from Peria. Okay, good. I want to pause and check if there are any questions so far from people. I see Susanna. Oh, even Bradley. Hello. It's been a long time. I love it when I get to see my colleagues from the past who are tuning in for this. I appreciate you finding time. So we've been talking about Global South. I'm going to type that in LinkedIn, Global South in AI.org for language AI. Diversity, inclusiveness, abstracts. So hope you'll share that. And rest of the stuff that I've been sharing, I will come back and be sure to share with you. And let me also give you the link, the newsletter. So all links here will be at bit.ly/Jamthe. Do you have a question for me? I'm happy, since I'm live, I'm happy to answer questions. And I keep getting messages from people saying, I'm trying to collaborate. I would like to collaborate with somebody. If I can find a partner, it'll be easier for me to do that. And a lot more people have said, I'm not quite sure I'm ready. It's not ready for mainstream, and I'm quite not ready, but I think your ideas are amazing and the world needs it. So Hope you'll contribute. At least come and talk to us on the Slack. So let me also put the Slack on. Thank you, Pariya. Pariya just added the Slack on LinkedIn. So globalsouthinai.slack.com. It's not a huge Slack group. We're just getting started. So you can talk to us. You can talk to other people who are in the same space. So it won't get too noisy. I know I'm part of many Slack groups and amazing things are happening, but it gets very, very noisy for me. We're not quite there. So this will be easy for you to come in and check out, ask questions and see whether you get your answers. And let me also give you the name, the conference that I was telling you from Belen, from Belen, Sanchez, Hidalgo. Let me see. So I've shared one event. I have one more topic. We've got 5 more minutes, and before I wrap up, there is a new kids privacy law that is happening in US. Let me share that, why that is important. So when we're talking about AI ethics, it's very easy to get to a very abstract place. A lot of people, when I teach this at Barcelona Technology School to various master's programs, everybody agrees that AI is biased because it is bias that creeps in from the training data. In fact, bias comes in at every stage of the AI development cycle. So everybody's in agreement of that. So the Amazon algorithm, they've never picked a single woman to call for an interview because it was trained using data that did not have enough women in there. So that's a very classic example. And I've shared that in my research on inclusive AI in autonomous vehicles. We found that one of the top tech companies, facial recognition algorithms, that is one of the 3 that has been banned by the US government, saying that it's not quite ready for mainstream America. And I'm not going to name one of them, but one of them does not recognize men if they do not have a nicely kempt beard or no beard. If you have a long beard, like my hair is long, if you have long beard that way looking, it doesn't recognize you as a human. And so think of that in an autonomous vehicle. It will, when there's a disengagement, it will not give control to you because it thinks there's nobody in the car, and it's not just going to hurt you, it's going to create accidents on the road, and that's not okay. So when we think of bias, AI bias, the important thing is that there is bias in AI is one of the topics of AI ethics. The other thing is, how do you deal with the data that the AI the tech systems are collecting? What are the privacy implications? So GDPR is the big one there that protects Europe, and there are a lot of privacy laws that are based on GDPR, like the one in California or Chicago, that protects people in the individual states. There's a huge one, the Brazil AI bill, that also has privacy protections for Brazil. So there are like scattered efforts on that, but there's a lot of grassroots movement around that. But one area that we all can agree that there should not be any disagreement is children's online privacy. So in US, we have a 1988 law about children's online privacy protection rule, or it's called COPPA, C-O-P-P-A. And recently there is a bill in US called the Kids Online Safety Act, called KOSA, K-O-S-A. And in US, in all our bills, we try to make it like a word, right? Take the first acronym and we make a new acronym and it's like a word. And so it's called KOSA. And that is trying to improve online data privacy for young people. And the challenge I've heard, and I have to give credit to STOP, the organization that is actually brought this to broader attention. Let me check that. I want to get their site up because I want to make sure that you know who I'm talking about. This is the organization that works on surveillance, on stopping police surveillance or misuse of tech spying on people. So it's called STOP, S-T-O-P. It's called Surveillance Online Oversight Project, or STOP. 1 second, let me find them because I want to give them credit. So I think their site is called stopspying.com here. So we watch the watchers, and that's their motto, that they have this surveillance technology. They have an oversight on surveillance technology because every technology has an upside and a downside, and that's what this is about. This is their main calling. And now they have this. Now they have shared. Okay, sorry, I thought I was sharing the screen. Thank you, guys. You always do this. Yes, I am sharing the screen. Okay, good. So I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to show you Electronic Frontier Foundation, which focuses on privacy. Let me go back, share that screen. Electronic Frontier Foundation is this age-old organization which has been focused on internet privacy forever from the internet boom, and they are partnering with STOP and looking at this law called Kids Online Safety Act of 2022, and they are saying that it is supposed to provide protection for children, but on the contrary, it has some problems and it's not doing right. So there is a petition that they're doing that's applicable for people in US. And if you are in US, and you can be anywhere in the US, it's not limited to New York, though STOP works with New York. EFF is applicable everywhere. And they are talking to us about how the COSA bill, right? That's Kids Online Safety Act, requires platforms when you collect data of young people, children essentially. They have like an elaborate age verification system because they're checking is this for kids? That means they're collecting age, which creates a violation, and they have an elaborate verification system. They give parental control, which is good in some ways, but then it gives oversight to parents to kind of figure out the conversations that children are having in the chat, which they're not going to like. And then it also creates a whole new legal duty for platforms, all kinds of platforms, to prevent harms. So it outlines a wide collection of content that platforms can be sued for. If young people include promotion of self-harm, suicide, eating disorders, substance abuse, and like. I also heard that this was not very supportive of people with mental health problems and people with any kind of neurological disorders, and it's more privacy violation. So there is a lot of news on that. So if you are in the privacy world, anywhere in the world, if you're working on privacy and if you care about children and privacy, I would urge you to read this and see what is good, what the pros and cons. And if you're in US, act on it. And if you're anywhere else, at least see what is applicable to you and see whether, you can bring anything like that into your world, or see whether something like that is happening in your world. So that was my thinking, my motivation behind sharing this. Like I said in the beginning, when I share any of this, I want you to draw inspiration and know you can do something about that. And then as I'm thinking about different platforms and advisory boards, I came across some information shared by Merv Hickok, and Merv is amazing. I've shared a lot of her work in my classes, and AIethicist.org is her site. And she's one of the 100 brilliant women in AI ethics from which is published once every year. And this was from last year. And she had actually shared something where, let me find out. Her featured link, not all her activities. So she shared about various different laws. What is she doing? So there, I had spoken about this couple weeks back on this New York local law, and about bias audit for law for automated employment decision tools. And Merv had shared about it, and here's a piece about that she published one day back. We had all done like a signature to even get the AI Bill of Rights for US to happen from the Center for AI and Digital Center for AI and Digital Policy. Merv was on the board, and she had shared this. So I would recommend following more to check if you're into this, if you're looking at New York and privacy and what is happening, or this particular law that we spoke about, that the bias audit, that for employment, AI should not have any bias. It has to go through an audit before it can be, this can be used by employers, is the law. And so she has a new piece on that. So with that, I'm going to wrap up for today. And I will be sharing a lot more jobs, because there are a lot of jobs which are regular jobs in the product management world that I usually share in Jamthe newsletter. So I'm going to be sharing that. You want to see that? I can give you the whole list, and I just want to read it like a laundry list. So there's a senior director AI technologies and society at Google. There's still time for you to apply for this Victoria University, Wellington's many openings. One was on Japanese studies. There's a research assistant, digital research assistant, and a bunch of them, right? These are things. Some of them are ongoing. There's stuff from New Zealand. This is from New Zealand. There's a bunch of them that I've already shared. So I'll be updating them. That's what I will be doing in the newsletter. And I'll be adding the newer ones with the new, for those of you who are new. And you can see that. For otherwise, if it's still open, I'll let it keep running. And then Rebecca Tweed has a bunch of jobs in AI ethics world and a lot of fellowship and professorship stuff. So I would recommend following her. All Tech is Human job board, where she publishes jobs very diligently, very diligently, very amazingly diligently. So if that job search mode, you should definitely look at that. But it's important, if you're in AI, to know about AI ethics, all dimensions of it, pros and cons on all sides, the multiple stakeholders point of view, and to generally be aware about what is happening, the discussions, the laws, and what is passing, what is not, and the dynamics of the whole ecosystem, because that is what you're going to do to make an informed decision, whether you're going through an interview process, or you're deciding on certain jobs, or you're just figuring out what can I purposefully do as I get into this AI world. So hope this is useful. And with that, we are done with our time for today. I'm going to wrap up, and thank you for hanging around with me. This recording will also go into my newsletter, bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. And I hope I'll see some of you back on Weekly Ved for next Wednesday, or I will see you back here next Friday. So stay safe, everybody, and have a fantastic weekend. And I'll see you soon. Bye. So let me stop the recording. Done. I'm going to stop the live. Thank you, everybody. Bye. And please share the Global South in AI with everybody in your network. Even if you think you're not working on it, please share that. I wanted to reach every